On this week's episode of Third Culture Africans, my guest is Ikenna Ordor, the founder of Starr Group. He is an incredibly talented entrepreneur who is always fully committed to any idea and is a pure business opportunity seeker. He's never been afraid to fail and has a huge passion for building businesses, networking, and leveraging relationships, even though he doesn't know where they end up. It's taken me a long time to get him on the show, and I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I did sitting with a good friend of mine who's been able to build an incredible business in a very short space of time. Welcome to another episode of Third Culture Africans. I am your host, Zeza Oriaiki Sal. I created the show as a resource for our community of Africans and African diaspora. A safe and honest place to share, inspire, motivate, and most importantly, celebrate those in our communities doing purposeful work and shifting the needle on our culture. Your support is invaluable to the show, so please subscribe or follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and leave us a review on your favorite streaming platform. You are valid, you are strong, and you are just getting started. Thank you, Ike, for joining us on this week's episode of Third Culture Africans.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having you. Oh my God. You have been perhaps my most challenging...
Most sought after guest.
Sought after? Oh my God. Considering you're one of my closest friends, this is been the hardest to schedule in and get you to actually record an episode.
Well, I'm here now and happy to share.
Yeah. What is that? Okay, so I will give you your introduction like I do every guest.
Okay.
Ikenna Ordor, aka Le Starr, aka Starr Luxury Cars, Starr Luxury Jets, Starr Property Management Group, and Starr Creative.
Sounds about right.
Should I put also aka all round hustle? Hustler every day.
Yeah, everyday hustle. Everyday hustle works.
Okay, so a recent article that came out by the BBC said you've been dubbed as a beacon of hope, creating the Airbnb of luxury cars.
Yes, that was...
Beacon of hope.
I quite like that title. I like to see myself as the shining beacon for the upcoming youths. And
Stop.
I mean, I'm not sure I believe it myself, but it is what it is.
You've been featured in Forbes, the BBC, The Guardian, Telegraph, and lots more, aka Beacon of Hope. And I'm not going to let that go, by the way.
Please don't.
But I think one of the questions, for anyone who doesn't know you, perhaps, if you can explain more about, I guess, the Starr Group and what you do. Because I listed all the acronyms, but you've got 5 businesses under one umbrella. Starr Group is, I guess, the holding company. But essentially, your game is, or your business is, sweet life.
Well, my business has been in business, especially with the current times. We're just trying to survive to start off. There's no sweet times at the moment.
Enjoyment, Minister.
Okay, so my main company is Starr Luxury Cars, which is for easiest explanation, is an Airbnb for luxury travel options. We've been going for about 3 years. And it's a company that I'm looking to scale and be the number one global option for luxury travel, from ground car transportation to air travel, private jets, and by sea travel. So your luxury yacht charters in the Mediterranean or in Dubai or anywhere else where you have the option to explore luxury travel. That has morphed into giving birth to Starr Luxury Jets, especially with the pandemic and people wanting to travel a little bit more private. So as a travel group, that will continue to morph into Starr Luxury Yachts, and then they will just be Starr Luxury Travel or Starr Luxury. I launched property company at the start of the year, and lucky for me, or unluckily for me, pandemic hit, and opportunities have come from it, and also setbacks have come from it. But it's been interesting because in the space of, 12 months, we've been able to purchase 5 properties. And that's, quite an aggressive start for a newcomer in the property business. And then I have a creative company, and that stems off the back of my stint in hospitality.
We'll get to that in a minute.
My stint in hospitality. So I still have my creative side to me, where I host events sometimes, or I entertain clients sometimes, and essentially that's what Starr Creative is.
You never do things by half. So when you say, 5 properties in 12 months, I think you're an all or nothing guy. I think you've always been
fully committed. As soon as I decide I want to embark on something, it's foot on the pedal.
I love the word fully committed. Of my friends, I think you're the one person who is, I'm risk averse, right? We have this conversation all the time, and you are very much like, but what do you have to lose? And you're happy to risk it all.
Left to me, you'll mortgage your heart. So
jokes aside though, but you're very ready to take risks, especially in business. And I think, as hard as you go for any idea that you have, you're also always open to the fact that the idea might not work, but it still doesn't taint how you go at the idea.
Failing is knowledge.
Okay.
So if I failed, what's the worst that could happen? I've gained knowledge, and I could probably charge someone for not failing the same way I failed.
True.
There are a lot of businesses, a lot of ideas that are tried over and over again. Mm-hmm. So if I was able to fail at an idea, I could lend my knowledge to a starting entrepreneur or a seasoned entrepreneur who's trying to go into the same field but not fail. So I would say that's what I always take away from embarking on something new. What's the worst that could happen? If I fail, I have amassed myself with knowledge that I could use to charge.
True. No job is ever too small, though. Or no business is ever too small.
No, never. To put food on the table, you can't look at any business too small.
But I feel like in our culture, though, and this is where you and I think over the years, our friendship, especially like our business discussions, have always we're not afraid to be the guy holding the towel for the guy to wipe his face.
Oh no,
if that's the job. And that's and actually in it there's always a learning, and in it there's always an experience. From selling concert tickets to being a club promoter to selling Prosecco.
That was an interesting...
To restauranting. You've done the restaurant thing.
I cleaned the tables at the restaurant as well when I owned it. So that was... I'm never shy to get my hands dirty when I'm in any business.
True. Very true. I have a question here. Why Starr? Starr.
That came as... started off as a nickname. My friends saw me as the star of the show.
Hey!
Or the star venue room that I walked into, and that morphed into my first entertainment company, which was Starr Parties. Back then, I guess about 10 years ago, when I first started. And it was a very successful company. We were probably the number one in Mayfair for packing out sort of nightclubs. And I guess the first company that hosted the likes of
on the Sunday, goodness.
Aura.
I've enjoyed with you, chef. I've enjoyed Aura with all the celebrities and footballers. And
talking about celebrities, Starr Parties was I guess the first to host the likes of Pharrell, Drake, Trey Songz.
You were one of the first to start bringing them over to
Alicia
the UK.
Keys, Rihanna.
Yeah, I remember. You didn't invite me to those ones.
I'll stop the name dropping, but yes.
Your tables were always full then. You did some work. Remember me with those ones. You always used to remember your other friends when you had your celebrity guests.
You were probably busy working too hard.
I wasn't busy. You just never remembered me.
Building the Malay Empire.
You did not remember me. That's all I know. The only thing you remember was when there's no chance of me rubbing my shoulders with celebs. You'd be like, do you want to come? I'm like, okay. How about the one last week? But yeah, I think in that business you did really well. So I think this is a huge, and for anyone actually, I think this is a great lesson. And this is one of the reasons why I really wanted you on the show, because there's this...
Thanks for having me.
Stop it. There's this fear of being not the guy, there's a fear, and I feel like this ascension and fall, right? Our culture is very much, oh, be afraid of the ascension and then the fall that comes after. Always, right? Like there's like this constant fear of failure because you're supposed to be good at everything all the time, every day, 24/7, 365 days of the year. And if you actually have a challenging period, you've fallen off. Like everyone counts you out and then you become that guy who has. But in our 20s, early on in our 20s, you had a business that was turning over £1 million.
Yes.
With a high profit margin.
Yes.
And at that point, I'm going to put this out there.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't even used to wash your shirts.
Yes, I used to buy shirts. I think buy a stack of shirts every week. So that's...
Oh my God, I remember that. Cringe. And I used to go to you, but what's wrong with the dry cleaners?
No time. I would say, which was very, I guess I would say silly, immature, or just fast life.
At the time, clubbing, it was a very unique time, right? The music scene was kicking off in a big way.
Yes.
Especially the urban music scene, right? For the first time in the UK, we had a level of connectivity to the American hip-hop, R&B scene, unlike any time before, right?
Indeed.
It almost felt like the borders opened.
Indeed.
And in a party sense, you were right there. And we were of the age where actually you can make a certain amount of money from throwing events and parties. And you threw them everywhere, from mansions to, your regular clubs.
You're taking me down memory lane.
Yes.
Honestly, I've forgotten some of these things.
You've forgotten your mansion parties? What was it? Was it Jeremiah or someone you had in a mansion party? It was one of those R&B guys. And I feel like...
Mario.
Ah, yes!
I have a funny story about that.
Yeah.
That was, I have a friend, an acquaintance / friend. Mario was called, I ended up being teased as Rihanna at the Ritz because it was supposed to be Mario at the Marriott.
Okay.
That was my first biggest failure, actually.
I remember it.
It was supposed to be at the Marriott on Park Lane, and this was me just coming out of university and trying to throw the biggest Valentine's event party for anyone my age at, I guess I was 21, ever thought of. And I just could not make people believe me that Mario was essentially coming to buy the tickets in time enough. So I couldn't come up with enough money to pay the venue. So I now had to go put Mario at the Mansion.
Yeah.
Which was a standard club. And I ended up being teased for that for a while and just being called Rihanna at the Ritz. So yeah, that's my first, I would say my first big failure that hit me.
I remember that actually. And you've had subsequent ones since, but I think one of the biggest ones that came after, I guess your first one that I walked with. So I guess context, I'm jumping around, but context. We've known each other for, goodness, a very long time. And why are you looking at me like that?
I'm just wondering if I should intercept to maybe too long.
We've known each other for a very long time and have, navigated, I guess, formative years together, coming into the UK as, teenagers. I remember we used to wear baggy jeans and a headband and being into sort of music and culture, and then adulting, right?
I feel like I was still cool then.
You thought you were. You thought you had hair then.
LL Cool J made us
that was your idol, right? Like, he was your idol. But we took that and into adulthood, etc., etc. And throughout university, okay, so I threw a few parties at university to make money, but you threw parties at university to make money.
I'm very aggressive when I see a business opportunity.
Like, you threw parties. Yeah. Like, that was... I feel like you did that more than actually university.
I think so too. I saw even the opportunity in networking. As soon as I threw my first party, I think, again, I was probably 20 years old and I probably made 10 grand in profit. And straight off the back of that, I set aside money I was going to use to go network in other universities or at other people's parties just so that I can become bigger. Yep. My profile could become bigger when I throw parties and I could make more money. So I looked at it as a business opportunity right from the first amount of profit I saw.
And then, oh God, I would remember you'd be driving. What car did you have then? Goodness me.
So I think it was a Rover 75.
Yes.
It was the knockoff version of the Jaguar S.
Yes. I remember. I think I got a Rover at some point. MG Rover. Mine was red with red leather stitching. Again, from my party money. It was crazy because in one night you could walk away with like $1,500 or $2,000. Like, this is my version. Right? You were doing 10K. Me and my own was small. But you could walk away with, and for a kid, like first year university, which is when I threw my first party, and I brought friends who were DJs, like student DJs from London, to come and play R&B and hip hop, and I made like $1.5 grand in one night. Like I was like, oh my God.
It's a ridiculous amount of money back then.
I need to do this. And you'd like, my venues were like the function room in a pub. Like you were doing like proper clubs that people.
I took risk then. I took
into.
risk. I mean, I'm sure. I think my first party we paid a deposit of maybe 2,500.
Wow.
And that's risky.
At 18, yes, that's a lot of money.
That's risky to
Yeah.
think. What if people don't come and spend money at the bar?
That was a big
Or what if
fear.
people don't turn up?
Yeah, and then you have to go to all the societies.
That's your version.
Oh, what was your version?
I mean, we just had to make sure that the big spenders were there by 12 midnight instead of spending.
Where did you
So
find
this-
them?
this
though?
was-
At university?
They drove down from London.
What?
It was a shock. It was when you say one of the jaw-dropping moments where the owner of the venue is looking at you like, what is this? Because at 10 o'clock, when they're expecting to see all the student crowd, there's nobody in the venue. And by 12:30, people have probably already spent 15,000 in a space of 30 minutes in the bar. And
Wow.
It's like, what is this? That was a jaw-dropping moment even for me.
Yeah. And so first time of seeing, I guess, lifestyle working, right? Enjoyment working.
Yes.
And, there's this saying, enjoyment never runs out.
It doesn't. It's consistent across the years, even in the middle of a pandemic. Everybody wants to go to a restaurant or to enjoy themselves. That's the first thing to
Very
escape
true.
life.
So first Star Parties does really well for years, right? Consistently. Highs and lows, but consistently, it made you a lot of money for years.
Yes, it did.
And you spent it as quickly as you made it.
Oh, yes. Proudly so. Learnt my lessons.
And then that business folded.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had to start over.
Mm-hmm.
And not just start over and you had some money in the bank. Start over from
Grafting.
zero.
Trying everything possible. I mean, not trying everything possible, but I was still in hospitality, but I would work in different stints in sort of different clubs or through different events. And they were just not as strong as my first experience in hospitality. But I kept consistent. I think consistency is always key, especially when you're trying to achieve.
If you had to give it a percentage of, okay, I was at 100% and then I went from 100 to...
15%.
Well,
Yeah, I would say that's
whole life adjustments.
I mean, we had a nice snazzy office in Mayfair. Had a staff of 5 full-time working for us. I love to prove that I'm the hardest working in the room. I'll finish partying at 3 a.m. and I'll be in the office at 8 a.m. Life just became slow from 100% to 15% very quickly.
The benefits of youth.
This podcast is sponsored by Malay Natural Science. Malay's products are inspired by the rich landscapes, alluring scents, and ancient wisdom of Africa. Their luxurious fragrance and body care range balances 100% natural active ingredients and scientifically proven formulas to heal, protect, and pamper your skin. Malay ships worldwide, and you can buy their products at maleeonline.com. They also offer a free sample if you'd like to try.
And so you took that and then started... What was the cab? Then you did the cab company.
Oh gosh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
This is like a trip down humility lane. No, it is a trip down humility lane. A friend of mine was running a cab company, and I had a vision to always own a car rental company. So I thought the quickest way to get into transportation was, okay, invest some money into the company and run it with him 50-50.
But why transportation though? Like,
While I was in hospitality and during the biggest parties, I used to rent cars, and I used to encourage my friends to
you
rent
just
cars.
reminded me about the renting and your birthday party.
Yes, I used to rent cars. I mean, one of my birthday parties, I think I encouraged up to about 12, 13 cars to be rented. And I thought, what if this was my company and they were coming to me, because it was clearly something people enjoyed. So over time, that stuck in my mind that I was always going to sort of be able to offer a transportation service of sorts. Hopefully more luxury, more lifestyle. When I saw the first chance, a friend of mine needed some help with his cab company. I invested. I became co-owner. I think that lasted for about 2 years before I ended up buying him out and giving myself a 6 months target to make it work or sell it. I ended up selling it. I was beginning to learn lessons of, this is after constantly trying things in hospitality, of not grafting to no results.
But then I remember having like really late chats because at the time I'm building Malay right off the back, and then you're sitting in a cab office.
Honestly, this is down humility lane.
From champagne nights with celebrities to sitting in a cab office. I think it was in North London somewhere.
Yes, Park Royal.
Yeah.
Very industrial estate. There was nothing glitzy. Glitzy was 100 yards, 200 yards far removed from it. There was nothing pleasant about being in a cab office. Even till today, there's nothing nice about some of the cab drivers on the road. So you can imagine engaging them every hour by the minute.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you would take the bookings. Then there was no apps or anything then, right? Like apps weren't a thing. So you would take the calls, dispatch the drivers.
Manually, yes.
And that experience, again, in that moment, you went 120% at that business.
Oh, I did. I went 120%, so much that I bought out my business partner. I said, you know what? He's a very good friend of mine. So when he listens to this, he knows I've told him, you're not doing enough.
Yeah.
I'll buy you out. I'll give it 6 months because then I can take it on myself that I tried my best. But I couldn't expect somebody to give 120% if they didn't have it to give.
Yeah.
But yes, I definitely went 120% in that business. I just thought I have to give it all.
But you gave yourself, and you were hard on that timeline. Like you didn't even flex the timeline. It was 6 months and I'm out.
Yes, I mean, so much that my sister even was working in the business at that time. She had some time, so she was working in the business. My family even tried to encourage me not to sell, not to stop the business.
Yeah.
You know, just because it just was at a time where you guys are all doing something together. You and your sister continue working in it. And I said, listen, this is a business decision.
Yeah.
I was very, very clear with my timeline.
And you stuck to it.
It was a hard stop.
Literally.
Yeah.
That was it. But fast forward, so you took that. What did you learn from that? Like, was there any learning? Was it even worth it? Like, obviously, versions of what you do now is an evolution of that business.
I am so thankful that I was part of that business. I don't think Starr Luxury Cars would be where it is today if I didn't fail in that business. Starr Luxury Car, first of all, as a concept, not owning assets and just being totally asset light, is something that business has shown me firsthand the difficulties of owning and operating assets. As soon as an asset is off the road, you have to keep paying for it, and you have to pay to fix it, and you have to then try and pay to get it back on the road. That taught me a great lesson about trying to structure something that's asset light. In terms of managing personalities and managing staff, that also just gave me patience. In business, you have to have patience and the foresight of thinking for a greater good.
But Starr Luxury didn't come straight away.
No, it didn't. I was that fed up with transportation when I sold. I mean, I was doing 24-hour shifts in a cab office.
Yeah.
36 hours at sometimes. So if I start in the morning at 8 a.m. And I go all the way to 8 a.m. the next morning, and maybe I had planned on the weekend, I would say, you know what, let me do an extra 12 hours so that I could move around the staff shift or my business partner's shift, just so I have some more time to myself on the weekend. But I was doing 36 hours. So after that, I just felt my life is back.
Yeah. And then you took that and then again, you kept trying more things. I remember once there was like a nursing home or care home thing agency.
Oh my goodness. I was trying to start that with a friend and I quickly halted. And I think I just started applying for jobs.
Yeah. And then you did the project management course.
Oh, I did a project management course. And I thought, my goodness, these IT guys make a lot of money. I could apply for a job and I would just be so
contracting.
great.
I remember contracting.
And it would just get me so much money and I could probably run away with all the money once I have it. But it just never felt right.
Working for someone else never felt right, or pursuing that career never felt right?
Pursuing that career never felt right.
Okay.
So while I was applying for IT jobs, that would probably make me anything between £500 to £1,000 a day. I guess that I was just looking at making £20,000 a month in my pocket. I was also applying for hospitality roles, managerial, marketing, which is something I'm ingrained in. And then I got a job in a Japanese restaurant called Kozu. I think the first 2 months I don't know if it was just the restaurant was doing badly or it was my expertise. I think I increased the revenue 150%.
Yeah.
And the owner was jaw dropped. And then, as a hospitality business habit, it is cyclical. And it just, when it became the off season, the owner just couldn't understand why I wasn't giving him 150%.
Where's 150% gone?
Where's the 150% revenue? And I couldn't explain myself further.
Because you started, I think, in like, just at the tail end of like winter, right? Into spring, and then there was the summer, and then obviously everyone travels.
Yes.
But again, with that business, at some point, people thought you owned the business.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it looked like that when I was hosting and when I was marketing, because again, it's that 120%, give it all you have.
Yeah.
Again, I would say you're never too big for anything. My role was marketing director, but I printed letters. I went door to door, knocking on doors at the likes of American Express and Google, hand delivering letters, inviting them personally to come and try our food. And I guess the restaurant is in Victoria, so the biggest companies have head offices in Victoria. And I did a door to door consistent letter dropping.
I remember those newsletters. So, at one point I wanted to unsubscribe, but I couldn't.
Yeah, because sometimes I have something interesting going on.
Yeah, you did. But you were great. I think you were the first person that I saw leverage influence. And I guess you had that experience from the club and party promoting days where you'd bring celebrities and realize the pull they had, right? And the effect they had. But seeing it translate across multiple industries, that was the first time. And you would bring the celebrity into the restaurant and there was paparazzi outside. And I'm like, but how do they know they were coming here? And you're like, what do you mean? I made this happen.
We put the work together.
And I guess that was the first time realizing under the hood that actually celebrities need to stay relevant. So they actually need, as much as businesses need influencers and celebrities also need businesses.
I mean, I was still this year's old when I learned that if you see a celebrity getting consistent mentions online or in Telegraph or Forbes or Daily Mail, they probably have a product that they're about to launch.
Yeah.
So they need to be on the airways.
Yeah.
Kind of waking up their fans.
Were you keeping abreast with what, I don't know, whoever's going on? Because you had everyone from like Towie to, American celeb, like you had everyone through the doors that you possibly could at the time. But then I would ask you, but how did you know them to contact them? Networking
with their agent, knowing when they want to be relevant and when they're available for public appearances.
But where'd you find an agent? You just Google them? Like, you make it sound so easy.
Oh my goodness. Again, trip down memory lane. It's just consistent networking and the boldness of approach. They're typically out with their agents in a restaurant, in a club. So when they're out and, they're having a great time, again, just from my notoriety, their tables are typically next to mine in the club.
Yeah.
So I'm quick to network and understand, how we can do something together. And that's even when I walk into a room, if you had a group of friends sitting in this room right now, I probably would walk out knowing who I'm going to do business with.
Okay.
So I always do that kind of when I'm in a room. It keeps things interesting because when you network, I think people are easier networking when you want to do business as opposed to, hey, do you want to be my friend?
Yeah.
A lot of people like no new friends.
Yeah.
Right? But hey, let's do business. Okay, I'm all ears. Because a lot of people want to make money.
But how do you know off the bat, okay, I have a project that I could work with you on or X on, or actually I'm bringing value to this equation?
I never know.
Okay.
For example, my lawyer in Scotland for properties that I've purchased, he's my second lawyer. The first one was horrific.
Yeah.
And the person who introduced to me was the CEO of the polo club, of the Guards Polo Club.
Oh, yeah.
And Neil has been, a close friend of mine via networking.
Yeah.
I never knew what kind of business we were going to do together. We were supposed to do something with cars at the club, and that never really happened. But it's so key to my business that he introduced me to a great lawyer. I like making friends. Yeah. And it's good to do business with friends.
You're always on the phone.
I'm not on the phone right now.
That's why it's taken us this long to get this episode in. Because you invest a lot of time, not just into the front end part of the business, but it's almost, you have the ability to see almost the blueprint of what you're trying to execute. Now, granted, you're also okay to say, but this might not work, and that's okay.
I have something to ask you.
Why are you asking?
Why haven't we done business?
Hey, we've done small things together.
Oh yes, we sold concert tickets.
We've done little things together. Hey.
Okay.
But we haven't done anything big together, and
that just came to my mind. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm talking about doing business with
everyone. We've done little things together, but we haven't done anything huge yet, right? Like that would say, oh wow, you and I have done this business together. Quick question for you, and because you've had so many highs, right? So many peaks in different forms in the last 2 decades, right? Granted, you've had some major...
I sound old when you say 2 decades.
Yeah, but you've been doing it a long time.
Yeah, I like to think I'm still young.
Yeah, but to be fair, you cross into a second decade right now.
Yes.
But you've been doing it a long time. And at what point did you go, I've made it? Was it the first time, the second time? At either point when you were at a high?
Not sure. I mean, as a young guy, when I had Starr parties, I thought, my goodness, I've made it. Yeah. Like I said, I was probably, I was 23-ish.
Yeah.
And I had an office in Mayfair with a team of 5 working full-time for me.
Yeah.
This was 2009, 2008.
Yeah.
And my peers were almost twice my age.
Yeah.
So if I continued on, like, again, if I wasn't blowing money as fast as if I wasn't learning the horrible lesson of make it fast, blow it fast, then I probably would still be saying I've made it. So that's probably the first time. And then you would always feel you've made it before the drop comes, right?
Yeah.
And then you learn your lessons.
But then I guess this time around, what's different now for you?
Maturity.
Okay.
You give me $1 million today in cash, it wouldn't budge me. Like,
yeah.
I feel like
I think you have an aversion to buying things now. You actually don't shop now?
No, it's bad. I think about it sometimes that I don't spoil myself. Actually coming to meet you today, I've been thinking about a watch. I haven't worn a watch for maybe about...
years. I remember when I used to love the American Echo, you know, the Echo watches. I used to buy the biggest ones too.
Yeah, I mean... Watches are, again, they're like a show-off thing, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes your wrist feels light. But no, I don't buy things anymore. And the conversation we keep having is a necessity, a car, which...
Yeah, you don't even own a car.
I feel like I need my family needs a car, but we don't even own a personal car. I just struggle to actually part with money instead of invest in it.
I feel like that is definitely you now. There's a constant, well, I have access to cars. And I have this conversation with you and I'm like, but why don't you own a car? It's really crazy considering what you do for work. So you take Starr Luxury Cars. 3 years ago, it's nothing. Zero. Does not exist. If anyone Googles luxury car rental, you're probably in the first 3 options that come up on the internet.
Most times we're number 1.
Sorry.
Let's be clear about that.
Sorry. Don't be modest then, shall we? But yeah, anyone Googles luxury car rental and you are number 1.
Yes.
Which... I've watched you build that business and it's considered a tech business, which blows my mind considering that you still have a BlackBerry.
Yes.
And you only just changed your BlackBerry like 2 weeks ago.
Yes, to a newer one.
To a newer version.
Again, my version for buying things that I don't need.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've
been able to build incredibly quickly an amazing tech business that is outperforming big brands like Hertz or Sixt or, you know, all of the main competitors, Avis, that we know, right, for luxury car rentals, just purely based on the internet.
Yes. I mean, just for context, we're not outperforming them globally. Yeah. We're outperforming their single units.
Cautionary statement. Yeah.
I'm not sure if the tax man is listening or, if the family in the village.
They're coming to tax you.
So we just have to make it clear. It's not quite as big yet, but single units, yes, we're up there.
But you did that pretty much off your laptop.
Yes. It's
and your phone.
Sometimes I chuckle at myself as my clients are I mean, the likes of the Ministry of Defense,
Yeah.
right? You know, profiles of billionaires, which I wouldn't mention, or
Yeah.
celebrities, which I wouldn't mention, but the likes of, in terms of corporates, JD Sports,
Yeah.
British American Tobacco,
McDonald's.
We did the best McDonald's ad.
Yeah.
It's just
The British American, was it? British American
the
Tobacco.
British American Tobacco.
You guys had like supercars.
10 super McLarens driving around London for a month. Anyone who knows cars, you did the numbers in that.
Yeah.
That was intense. And for me, I just could not fathom even where the business could go when it's beyond my small team at the moment and my laptop. We'd say we're a tech business. We don't even have an app yet.
Yeah.
When we do have an app, I hope that we're doing times 100 what we're doing across different cities.
But you've been able to build this purely with organic SEO.
Yes.
SEO being search engine optimization.
For those who don't know, yes, it's what allows your business to be found on Google, which is, I guess, the number one place our growing world goes to find anything new or to find a reliable service.
Yeah.
If you look us up, I think most of our reviews are 5 stars. We don't pay for those. It's genuinely clients who are very happy with our service, and it's not the norm in our industry.
So here's the thing, right? There's always this mindset that says, well, your business can only be successful based on the people you know. And you clearly are a guy who knows a lot of people. So no brainer, your business will do well. But what you're saying is actually a huge part of your client base are people you don't know who've just found you off.
And I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
Excuse me.
So being in hospitality and hands on the pulse, fingers on the phone all the time,
Yeah.
talking to people, keeping in touch, you then feel a certain level of consistent commitment to those relationships. If you rent a car from me today, a Lamborghini, for a week or month, we will provide a great service. And once that hire is done and you've handed the keys back, there's a pause to that relationship until you knock on our doors again.
So there's no need to massage the relationship.
Not consistently.
Yeah.
No. The relationship has been massaged by our great service. And I appreciate that because, again, when you start becoming mature, you start to have a work-life balance and want to, I guess, dedicate some time to family, dedicate some time to hobbies, or even just enjoy some me time when you're not working.
Yeah. You talk about fatherhood and entrepreneurship, or family life and entrepreneurship. You know, daddy daycare, I think you were the original daddy daycare. And you do both with the same vigor.
Yes, when my first daughter was born, it was literally at building stage as well of Starr Luxury. So that was tasking enough when you're trying to do daddy daycare with a under 6 months baby.
She has a newborn.
Asking for attention.
Yeah.
When you're full-time daddy daycare at that point.
Yeah, you were a full-time dad. You were actually, the roles were reversed. You were a full-time dad working off of your lap. I remember those conversations because you and I would be on the phone egging each other on throughout the day. And then you'd be like, oh no, she's woken up. I have to change the nappy. And I guess I then had my daughter 6 months later. So I felt the pain 6 months later.
It's one of those things where you can't explain it until you've been through it in life. Having a child or having kids at home, you're trying to divide your attention.
And run a business at the same time.
And run a business at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, most people are beginning to experience it with the pandemic.
Oh, God. Did you find that hilarious when people would complain about, oh, we're working from home?
This is life. Welcome. Welcome.
I just can't focus. They keep interrupting me. And you're like, I don't know any different. There's another version.
There's an episode of Kim Kardashian where she can't even get her makeup on because her daughter, she can't do her makeup tutorial because her daughter keeps interrupting.
Standard.
And it's like, as large as Kim Kardashian is, she really felt what the burnt is of having the kids at home. So shout out to all the childcare professionals. Kudos to you guys.
They make it possible, to be honest, in any way, shape or form, or partners who are holding it down. Segue into COVID and navigating COVID. Obviously, in the business of enjoyment, people aren't necessarily going places where they want to be seen in flashy cars, etc., as much as they were pre-COVID. And again, question mark.
Au contraire.
Question mark. But this is happening, right? This is happening to us in the moment. How are you navigating your business in the pandemic? Not that it's changed, because for you, it's always laptop and phone, but you've had to get more creative. Star Jets came about because you realized that a large part of your customer base who have the means still want to be mobile, but necessarily not in a commercial sense. They want to guarantee, in inverted commas, their safety.
So, I mean, for me, it's always been foot on the pedal. If you're committed to the business, don't look left, don't look right. Maybe look sometimes, but you have a straight vision. It's ahead of you. Keep going. When the pandemic struck, I hired an operations director.
You did. You hired.
I hired. And this was when I could see my sales going to zero. I don't think there's ever been a month where we've probably gone, maybe lost even 50% of our revenue. But I could see our sales going down to 20%, 10%. And I said, you know what? I'll hire you. Just because I thought the world is still going to return to some kind of normality. But also, I believe in building when everyone is sort of scared or uncertain. When there's uncertain times, there's always capitalizing or just explore. I took that opportunity to hire an operations director. That's actually paid off quite well. I always wanted sort of a number two who believes he's number one to be able to work quite closely with to grow the company. Now, we are subject to the government guidelines and restrictions. But as soon as the restrictions are lifted, it almost seems like the tap is turned on and turned off. We don't have your average Joes, because your average Joes have to watch the penny. But as the likes of Amazons and the big businesses are getting rich, it seems like our typical 60% of our clients who are ultra high net worth, they are getting richer, and they're hiring as soon as the restrictions permit them to actually go out.
Once the world opens up, it's like
once the world opens up, they want to have fun. They want to live their life the way they're accustomed to. And there's also restrictions they have in place, right? So the least they could do is enjoy. If they can have a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or a Rolls Royce for the weekend, hey, why not? Like, we just have this little amount of time before we're told to go back indoors and be locked up again. So in terms of navigating the pandemic, for me, it's just surviving, exploring, and capitalizing.
So one of the important things everyone talks about with business is raising capital.
I need a lot of it.
Stop.
I need a lot of money. I know what to do with money, so I need a lot of it.
What I'm trying to say is...
Anyone listening that has money?
But to be honest, the perception is to be able to play in luxury, right? Always. Whether it's building a brand, building a product, building a service, you have to have money to make money.
Oh, yes.
Especially in the luxury space.
And if you hesitate to spend, it will bite you. Like, never hesitate to spend if you're spending to invest on it. Know what you're going to get back. And even if you're not, I say this to you all the time with PR, right? Like, you're not necessarily going to get the results back immediately, but spend because you are building and it will come back at some point.
I'm risk averse. So, but you keep working on me with that. But there's something about, I guess, because from a consumer perspective, our luxury spend culture, as I guess within our communities, there's a hesitation to it, right? It's almost like, oh, it's a frivolous spend. And so when you're in business in that space, I find if you don't have the money in the beginning, there's a sense of insecurity you get, right? Because you're playing with the big boys. But you're able to push past that.
Oh, yes. I am rudely unapologetic. I don't see your class above mine. I would approach you if you were the richest person in the room. I got introduced to a client recently, and I think he's an Indian fellow who, I think millionaire or billionaire, worked out of Nigeria. And he actually he sent a message to the person who introduced us. And he said, are you sure he's Nigerian? He doesn't talk or speak to me like one of the Nigerians. And that's just cut off. I see him as the common ground. When I speak to him, and I just don't do that. When I know you, I can then tease you and call you chairman, right? when I meet you in person, we're peers, right? I will engage you as a peer, and even because I want to do business with you, right? I want you to be my business partner. If you have more money than me, I want you to be my business partner. Be the fund of let me run around, but we're gonna make this money together. I just don't look at people in that way, and maybe that's come off normalizing or being around money, right? I've seen people waste it. I've seen people use it properly. I've seen people just spend it and enjoy it. So it's hard. It's very hard for me to be impressed by it so much that the way I would engage you is different from the way I would engage the housekeeper or...
Do you make that mental shift consciously, which is, hey, this is a potential investor, or hey, this is a potential business partner, or hey, like, is that instinctive for you, or is that coming off the bat of what you know of the person?
It's mostly when I meet new people. Anyone could be a potential business partner. You would find that the richest of people or the most successful of people have a large network. I mean, forget the new tech businesses that go from zero to hero in space of a year. But people who have been in business consistently, they know a lot of people because they've been involved in different businesses over time and built different relationships.
Yeah.
So typically when I meet people, I might not know their wealth status or their societal status, but I like to engage them. I mean, I might know slightly a little bit, but I like to engage them and create lasting relationships.
Has that helped you make the investments or get the funding that you need at times?
Yes. I mean, my current funding is from close network of friends. I hope you join that close network of friends soon. I tease, but I'm serious.
What? Are you joking?
Current funding, close network of friends. I am, just before we started this podcast, I said I want to become more adverse, looking for, corporate investments and being able to reach out to people who are in the banking world out there, because that's not typically my forte. I'm a grafting businessman.
You're a grassroots guy. This is where the difference in today's business sense is. I think everyone is obsessed with this VC life.
Yeah.
And venture capital money and funding. And we've seen actually in the pandemic, a lot of those investments implode, right? Like
yes.
the VC model, in the way that it's been run probably in the last sort of 5 to 10 years, isn't necessarily a real business for the businesses they're investing in, because they're investing in book value, right? Like no one's investing.
They're investing in bubbles.
Yeah.
I think.
But not the reality, right? Like, whereas you've always built businesses based on, here's a business, I have £1. Can I make that £1 £2 or £3 or £4 or £5?
And here's also the proof of us consistently doing that and turning a profit. Do you want to invest in something that is
actually proven? So does that help? Have you found that being the shift?
When I raise capital, I'll probably be able to answer that better. But at the moment, like most of my businesses, I would say my core 2 businesses are luxury travel and property. I would say I'm still at the infant stages of both businesses. Although like most will class it as, oh my goodness, like you've made it, your businesses are successful. For me, and where I see myself going to, I'm at the infant stages. I mean, Donald Trump started and has his hotels and his real estate places. I hope to be able to reach those peaks.
Trump, really?
he's not my role model, but that's the first names that come to mind, because CNN brainwashes me every day with Donald Trump's name. So the first person that comes to mind, I think real estate is Donald Trump.
Wildest customer order or request or experience you've had?
Wildest?
Yeah.
Female security, female bodyguard, 2 cars to drive behind him while he drives. I thought that was...
For a male?
For a male. I thought that was weird.
Okay.
But not weird because it was female being a security or female drivers, but it was just... He didn't want it for the security. Yeah. Right? He just wanted it for the aesthetics. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. People live their lives in different ways.
Oh, goodness. I even forgot the drinks brand thing. I remember the one with the diamond in it and franchising. And
yeah.
I forgot that.
There's been a bit.
I guess you've built your businesses around service.
Yes.
And in essence, the property business is sort of asset management, and, you flip them essentially.
Yes.
Would you ever own a product business?
I would love to. I was speaking about this the other day with a friend of mine or with a group of friends, and The product business I'd like to own is actually children's brand. I want to own a Peppa Pig type of brand.
Peppa Pig! Ah!
Yeah. I like, there's just no control to how that business expands or morphs into different things,
Yeah.
morphs into TV shows, morphs into
Pajamas,
little
all the
characters,
things we have to buy.
pajamas. They could probably make Peppa Pig food and say, this is what Peppa Pig eats. And
Yeah.
that's probably when your child is going to eat all their food.
Paw Patrol.
Yeah,
Paw Patrol.
that's what I want to own in terms of, that's a product.
A kid's product?
Yeah, a kid's product.
Lovely. Well, what's next?
Consistent focus, property, cars, jets.
Yes. What are you going to call, what is it, Star Yachts?
Yeah, it'll be yachts.
Okay.
We're probably, 2 years away from that. I've got to focus on getting the jets up to the same level as cars. And just work-life balance. I don't want to be one of those people who've, I said this to a friend the other day, like, you don't want to be working too hard. You just want to work smart and actually enjoy your life.
But what's working smart for you, though? You work incredibly hard.
No, you think so? Like, I don't work as hard as I could. Honestly,
You can work harder than you're working?
yes.
Physically?
Yeah, I think so. Like, trust me, a lot of times, I don't know who's listening, but or who would be listening, but a lot of times I pretend that I'm working. I'm actually not. I'm just working smart and I'm making money.
So this is how you've been deceiving me?
Recently, before it was 120%. As you said, like, I work like.
Yeah, but to be fair, the pandemic has done a lot of good in the sense that it's perhaps for you as a friend, it's gotten you to realize that actually you can take some time off.
Oh yeah, like, don't fret. Like, everything will take care of itself as far as you've put structures in place within your business.
Hey, the benefit of having a working team. Wow.
So yeah,
That's the sweet spot. When
It is.
When your team actually works, it gives you that mental break that you need at times. Well, where can everyone find you on the World Wide Web? Don't have to look too hard for that one.
Yeah.
But where can they find you?
Instagram, IKE_LE_Starr with a double R.
Yeah.
Or you can just type my government name, Ikenna Ordor, and you'll find me. And that's across all social media. On Google, yeah, you can type
Luxury car rental.
Luxury Car Rental or Starr Luxury, and you'll find the company and, a little bit about what we do.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of Third Culture Africans. It has taken me, goodness, how long to get you here, and I'm grateful for you making the time.
I'm glad to be the most sought after guest.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Third Culture Africans. We are building a community of leaders and game changers and would love you to join in the conversation on thirdcultureafricans.com. Subscribe for news, for tips and more useful resources on today's topic and more episodes to ignite and inspire your entrepreneurial journey. Carry on the conversation on Facebook and Instagram at Third Culture Africans. Your ratings and reviews are important to us, so please leave one on your favorite streaming platform and help us amplify our voices. Until next time, you are valid, you are strong, and you are just getting started.